I was born in Ventura. I was born in hospital in Ventura, right next to Oxnard, December the 15th, 1987. It was the youngest in our family, family of 7. So I was the youngest. Quite a few years after the last one. My sister Jackie was the youngest at the time. I think she was 11, and then 11 years later, here I come.
Wow. Big difference, huh? You were the baby.
Yeah, I was a baby for after like I said, 11 years, 12 years, something like that.
What was your home life like growing up?
Well, I grew up with my brothers and my sisters. We all lived together with my dad and my mom. I remember just watching a lot of boxing on the weekends with my brother and my dad and my sisters and other family members that would come along with cousins or whatever, watch the pay-per-view fights. I grew up hanging out with my nephews, who some of my sister and my oldest brother had their kids already, and we were growing up around the same age. So I hung out a lot with my nephews and other cousins as well. But it's just being a kid, do kid stuff, ride bikes, play in the backyard, just average kid.
Yeah. And what kind of neighborhood was it that you grew up in?
We lived in Oxnard in Channel Islands Boulevard. I went to Larson Elementary School, so I lived in that area of Oxnard. It wasn't a bad neighborhood. We lived on a main street, so we never played in the front yard. It was a major street. It was Oxnard Boulevard. Channel Islands Boulevard. So we didn't play in the front yard. We usually just play in the backyard. But the whole neighborhood was cool. No problems. I didn't grow up in any area of town where I could say there was big gang area or anything like that. It was a cool place.
No, that's cool. And what kind of kid were you? Good kid?
Excuse me?
Were you a good kid or were you a bad kid?
Yeah. Nah, I was a good kid. I never got really in trouble in school. A couple of fights or whatever, like any other kid would, but not anything major, nothing big. Never was suspended from school or anything like that for fighting or anything. Just just an average kid. I was good at school. I earned the student of the month. I think once every year in elementary. Just doing everything fine. Paying attention to my dad and my brothers would tell me pay attention in school. So I did that. I remember I used to talk a lot during class, and that's one of the complaints that all the teachers would always write down. I was talking a lot. But they would also tell my brother or my sister, whoever was there for the conference or whatever they were talking. But I also know that even though he's talking, it seems like he's not paying attention. When the test comes or the project or whatever it is that they're working on, he knows exactly how to do it. So even though he talks a lot, he knows what to do. But he distracts others from their job because he's talking to them. So that was the only complaint that really teachers would tell my brothers, my sister, my mom, or whoever was there.
Mm-hmm. And I know your whole family was into boxing, but were you interested in it right away when you were little?
No, I really wasn't interested in boxing as a kid. At least not for a future career. Other kids I know, since they're 8, 10 years old, they already thinking of one day becoming a world champion or at least being a professional boxer. I never had that in mind. I would see my brother, I would see my dad in the gym, and then I would watch the fights, but I never considered that an option for me or a career for me. I always used to say that I wanted to be either a lawyer or something else, but never in my mind did I think of becoming a boxer. I would go to the gym and watch my brother and watch my dad train the other fighters, Vargas and all the other fighters in the gym, but never thought of becoming a boxer. I spar once in a while, just to mess around, but never trained or never competed as a kid in the amateurs. So it grew later as time my nephew started boxing. I was 14, and that's how then I began to actually start training and began an amateur career.
Mm-hmm. And did you have any kind of relationship with Fernando Vargas when you were little?
Well, the only, he would be around the house, and he really admired my dad and respected my dad. So that's how we got to really know him. I remember him spending time at my house. Especially at the gym, I'd be around him. I still see him, every time we see each other, and we always, speak well, and just, like friends. But just the age difference is that, that we weren't able to, hang out when I was growing up or anything like that. He's, older than me and that. But, yeah, we never had anything, bad to say about him or for him to say anything bad about me. He almost grew up around my brothers, hanging out, and my sisters and whatever. So he's a cool guy, I remember him staying in my house for a couple of days sometimes, just before going to a camp or before going to a fight or going to a tournament. He'd be there at my house with my dad. So it was good.
Yeah. And you were 14 when you decided to go to the gym, like for yourself for the first time, or?
Yeah, the story, that I always tell, because that's the way it happened. We went to an amateur competition, like the exhibition show that my nephew was participating in. Mm. We were over in Reseda, and my nephew Javier, he was participating in an exhibition contest there, local boxing gym that he was going to. And me, my brother, my sisters, we all went along just to go and see him. He was 13, I think he was 12, I was 13, going on 14, something like that. And one of the kids from the gym didn't have a sparring partner, didn't have an opponent. And my brother signed me up. He said, "Hey, you're going to do an exhibition." Well, I said, "Okay. I don't got anything here, I haven't even been training. I wasn't even training at the time or anything like that." But he signed me up, and I had to borrow some shoes, borrowed a mouthpiece, borrowed headgear, borrowed shorts, everything. Borrowed everything and stepped in the ring. We did 3-round exhibitions, and, that was how that started. After that, I think it was maybe a week after that, I started actually going to the gym and training. And I turned 14 a month after that exhibition, and 2 months after I turned 14th, I had my first amateur fight, and I continued through my amateur career. I did 4 years as an amateur. I started at 14 and turned pro at 18.
Mm-hmm. And you won the 2004 National Junior Golden Gloves Championships. How did that feel to win that?
When I first, that was the first tournament for me to win. Right before that, I had fought in the Junior Olympics, and I made it all the way through the nationals and lost in the final round, the final gold medal round. So I ended up silver medalist in my first round, which was the Junior Olympics. But
who'd you lose to there?
I lost to, I believe it was Michael Concepcion from New Jersey.
And how'd you feel when you lost that?
Well, I fought. I had 10 fights going into the tournament. I only had 10 fights.
Wow.
I was 15. I started the tournament with 10 fights, so I had just had my 10th fight before I started the tournament. I advanced all the way to the nationals. I think it was my 16th fight as an amateur, and I was fighting for the national title, Junior Olympic title. So that was a big accomplishment to me. With very little experience, advancing all the way to national level, and then competing against kids who have been fighting, since 8, 10, 12 years old, and with some over 100 fights on some of the kids that I was competing against. And I made it all the way to the very, very last fight. I lost to Michael Concepcion from New Jersey, and it was only a 3-2 split decision. So it could have almost gone either way. I felt I won. Some of the judges felt that I won, but the other judges felt that the other fighter won, and it didn't bother me too much, as I felt I did great, and you know, it was just a close fight. That's it. You know. A few months later, that's when I won the junior Golden Gloves, and that felt real good because I remember I started the tournament here in California, and then finally advanced to the national tournament in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I had, I think, 3 or 4 fights in that tournament over at Nationals. I think it was 3 fights in the Nationals, and you know, I finally won a national title, so that kind of gave me a little more confidence, you know, since I had just lost the previous tournament, but there I actually won, so that was nice. I remember they gave me a belt, kind of like a professional championship belt, so that was pretty neat. You know, instead of just little medals or trophies, I actually got a belt this time. That was cool. It was nice, you know.
Yeah. And then the next tournament you won was the '05 National PAL. Is that what that was? Yes, I
fought. I think what was in that same year. It was '05. I fought the U.S. Championships, but I got eliminated earlier. So then I went along and fought in the Golden Gloves in '05. And I advanced again to the national level, and I lost in the, bronze medal, I think. It was bronze. Semifinals, I ended up bronze. I fought, that one was in, where was this? This was in Arkansas. This was in Little Rock, Arkansas. 05 National Golden Gloves. And I placed third there in the Golden Gloves, and then finally in October of 05, I won the National PAL. That was held there in Oxnard. So that was very, very cool, you know, to be winning national title in your hometown, you know, fighting 5 fights, you know, in the national tournament, and beating the #1 ranked fighter at the time for the U.S. team, and, you know, just having a great performance. I was awarded best male boxer of the tournament, and also the best boxer of tournament open division. So it was just, you know, it was a good victory for me.
Yeah, that's great. And then you decided to turn pro. What made you decide to turn pro at that stage?
Well, after the PAL, we fought at the U.S. Championships in Colorado. I lost to Terrence Crawford, who actually just fought last night also over in Vegas. I lost to him in the national U.S. Championships, Colorado Springs. And after that tournament, we were already deciding to go pro. We were talking to my brother and my dad, and you know, a couple people in management, you know, people who were considering managing me, and just looking into the option of turning pro. I had turned 18 by then, and you know, we're talking about going pro. I fought the Golden Gloves here in Southern California, but really, I was already thinking of going pro. So I just fought the Golden just to stay busy, you know, stay active, and I actually lost here in Southern California, a close decision to another fighter from the area. And as soon as I lost that one, you know, I just told my dad and my brother, you know, let's just go pro. And a month or two after, you know, the fight here in Southern California for the Golden Glove tournament, we turned pro. We signed with Top Rank and Cameron Duncan, and, you know, we decided to go pro, and we started our professional career.
And do you remember who you fought, where, and what the result was?
For the first professional fight?
Yeah.
My first professional fight was here in Montebello, California. It was at the Quiet Canyon. I was supposed to be fighting somewhere else that same weekend, but earlier in the week, you know, my manager told me that the other show was postponed or the slot was filled, so they couldn't put me on that show, and they had to put me in, you know, on that Montebello show. And I remember we went to the tournament, to the weigh-in, the day of the fight, because it was a last-minute thing that he was able to, you know, put me on the Montebello show and last minute. So we weighed in the same day of my fight. That same day we were there waiting for the fight. You know, after we weighed in, we were just hanging out. My dad said, you know, I'm gonna go get some ice, get some juice, you know, get some stuff at the CVS pharmacy. And a couple minutes later, they stole my dad's truck. So I had to call cops. I had to call insurance. I was handling all this other stuff for my dad, and you know, it was just a mess. They stole my shoes. They stole my trunks, my outfit, my cup, mouthpiece. They stole everything. It was all in the truck. So we had to call my brother Robert, who was in Coachella during the Desert Showdown tournament that they do here with the kids from the gym. And we had to tell him, you know what, you're going to have to come down to Montebello and bring me some shorts, bring me some shoes or something, a cup. You know, we got to fight, and I got nothing. Told them what happened, so they drove all the way down over to Montebello. I borrowed some shorts, borrowed a cup. I had gone to a Sports Mart Authority or something like that, big 5-store, bought some, you know, wrestling shoes, and I bought a $1.99 mouthpiece and asked the cook there in Montebello to boil some water for me so I can make my own mouthpiece there. And it was just a mess. But I ended up fighting a guy by the name Domingo Herrera, and I won a 4-round unanimous decision. It wasn't a very difficult fight, but it was a 4-rounder. I fought a 4-round decision, and you know, I felt good. I finally turned pro.
Yeah. You got a good memory so far.
I tried.
You ran your record real nice, and then you ended up fighting Walter Estrada. It was kind of like weird because you went from fighting guys with like mediocre records or even poor records in the beginning, and then you suddenly are fighting a guy with 34-6 record. Did you feel his experience?
Well, I definitely noticed his experience. Before that, you know, my management and promotion team behind me, they're trying to obviously build your record, you know, build your confidence as a fighter. You know, 18, 19-year-old kid, you know, straight out of the amateurs, you know, they want to build your confidence and build that record. So obviously you're fighting guys with, you know, less qualities maybe, or just less experience than, you know, other you know, top fighters. But that's what, you know, good promoters and good managers have to do.
Mm-hmm. I'm not putting you down.
And I just, you know, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so when they offered the fight with Estrada, you know, they say, you know, this guy, he's got the experience. You know, it's you know, we're gonna see if Mikey's able to do something. You know, we'll see what he's capable of doing. We think he should be able to win because he has skills. But Walter will be a good test. You know, he is gonna be tough. He's fought for a world title. You know, he was former, I think, you know, title challenger or something like that a few years back, and you know, he's definitely, you know, championship material, you know, to test, you know, a young guy like Mikey. I think I had, you know, like 14 fights at the time or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was going to be a good test, and it turned out to be a good test. I remember I had 3 rounds into the fight, you know, fairly well, you know, boxing. Not being very aggressive, you know, because I was obviously being patient like I am all the time. And then in that next round, he landed an overhand left and dropped me straight down. That's, you know, the only time I've been dropped, the only time I've been knocked down. I had thought I had moved, you know, stepped back just enough to avoid the left hand, avoid his punch, but he clipped me right on my chin and I went down. I remember staying down, you know, for the count, and it was 6-7 when I got up. I wasn't staggered or hurt, but I did go down from a clean punch. Walter jumped on me, tried to, you know, obviously put some more pressure and try to hurt me, but I was fine, so I was able to move around. I had my legs. I moved around, survived the round, and the next round, I come forward trying to, you know, get some respect back, and I threw an overhand right, and I landed on top of his forehead, and somehow my thumb started to hurt. I fought like that throughout the night. I turned southpaw a round or two after, and just for a minute or two during the fight, and it was just my right hand was hurting. My thumb was hurting. After the fight, we got my hand checked, and my thumb was broken. So it just, you know, it was a tough fight. It was, like they said, it was going to be a test, and it really was. I got dropped. I got back up. I broke my thumb. I kept fighting. I didn't tell them in the corner, that my hand was hurting. But every time I would land my right hand, it would just hurt. But you learn from that. You got to fight through that, and that's what I did. So it definitely was a very good learning experience. It helped me, for my development. It was just one of those fights that they're meant to do that. They're meant to test a young fighter like myself at that time, and everything went well, and luckily, everything went my way.
Mm-hmm. And did you have to call on the experience that you had so far, or was that the first time you ever experienced anything where you had a
I had never experienced a knockdown. I had never experienced a broken hand or thumb or anything like that. I had swollen hands before or bruised hands, but nothing broken. I had never fought someone with the experience that Estrada had.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely saw the skills that Estrada had during the fight. I was able to see that he wasn't an easy target like some of my other opponents had been. He was able to connect some punches that other opponents aren't easily able to connect on me. So I right away I was able to tell in the first 2 rounds that this guy was, a good fighter, decent fighter with experience. I had to just, do a little more than usual. I had to fight a little longer than the usual, and, put everything, in play, and then fight a little faster, try to be a little faster with my reaction time, so that he wouldn't counter me with those left hands that he was, looking for all night long.
Mm-hmm. And how about the couple fights later you fought Carlos Rivera? Anything about Carlos Rivera worth mentioning?
Yeah, I fought, when was that? Do you have that on you right now?
8/29/2009 at Quick Trip Ballpark, Texas.
Yeah, I remember. That was over by Dallas, in Texas.
Grand Prairie.
That was that time I had already fought. I think what's his name? Jose Hernandez, if that's correct.
Yeah, you did.
I had already fought Jose, and actually Jose Hernandez, they had told me that this was another step, another test, for me. And so, I fought that fight, fairly well. When the Carlos fight, Rivera over at over in Texas came, they told me this guy, he's a good fighter, decent fighter. May not hit so much, may not have that big punch behind him, but he's a good skilled fighter, southpaw again. Just to see how I do against southpaws. I fought a couple of them in my career already. So I remember the fight. It was, I think, a 7th-round stoppage or 6th-round stoppage, something like that.
Yeah, let's see, 7th, yeah.
7th, okay. Because I remember we were, I was just starting my reserve academy over in Camarillo. I did the Ventura County Reserves, Sheriff's, and Police Academy.
Yeah.
So I had just started that. We were working out in the academy. It was a very busy schedule for me during those months. I had started the academy. I would get up in the morning, early in the morning, go run. Then I would go to school, come home, take a quick break, go to a training session, and as soon as I was done with training, I'd head over to the academy. Then I would start the academy around 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and I wouldn't get home till like 10 or 11 at night, and do the same thing the next day. Get up at 6 in the morning, go run, go to class, go to the gym, come home, and go to the academy. So when I did that fight, excuse me?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Go on.
Well, when I fought Carlos Rivera, I had just started the academy a few weeks back, and it was just a busy schedule, trying to get the academy going, trying to get that started, and keeping up with boxing at the same time. I didn't have a lot of time to train like other times. You focus more on your boxing and training. Sometimes over here I'd be in a rush. I'd be trying to train in a hurry, to something very quick because I had to go to the academy. So I didn't have the perfect training sessions that I would normally have. But I was still able to train and then spar the days that I had to spar. And I remember starting the fight. I did well first few rounds. I felt his punch, not too heavy. So I actually stepped it up a little bit, and I hurt him with those body shots. I remember it was, I think, a left hook to the body that dropped him the first time. And then in that 7th round, I decided to bring it to him a little more, and they actually stopped the fight right away due to a cut. But I was ready to step up the pace that round, and I even remember watching the tape, and Raul Marquez was commenting that right as soon as he saw me come in the round, he said something like, I can tell Mikey's a different fighter this round. He's here looking for a stoppage, and I stopped him right away. Raul obviously as a fighter can read other fighters, and he was able to catch my intentions going into that 7th round, and that's what I was actually after. I was after the stoppage.
And then a couple fights later, you fought Arturo Gomez, and you fought him in Mexico. How'd that feel to go back to Mexico and where your family's from and do it?
Well, we fought Arturo. It was actually, I was supposed to be fighting a few weeks before that. I was supposed to be fighting 2 weeks before that here in Vegas at the Hard Rock, the first opening show for Fox Sports Net with Top Rank Live they were having. And I was supposed to be fighting a guy from Ensenada, Joxan Hernandez. And I was there the day of the weigh-in, and he never showed up. I guess he had some visa problems or something. So they booked me that fight with Arturo Gomez over in Mexico. And we took it, obviously. We need to fight. We need to stay active, and stay busy. So we took the fight. We went to Mexico. It was my first time in Mexico City. My family is from Michoacan. That's where my dad and my mom are from. I have family in Michoacan. But it was my first time in Mexico City. It's just a different experience. The whole promotion company is different. The whole way they run the program, the way they do the weigh-in, everything is just different than what I was used to here in the States. And in any state that I fought, everything is well taken care of, and in order. Although sometimes you take a little longer to weigh in or whatever, but it's mostly done in a proper order, very very structural. And in Mexico it's just different. The way they do the weigh-in, the way everybody does the negotiations or the talks, for rules. There's no one actually talks to you about any rules or anything like that with the refs. It's just different. So it was a new experience for me, but during the fight, it still went well. I remember I got cut around before I stopped them. I think it was in the 4th round that I got cut. I remember it was a headbutt. I never saw the tape on it because I just never received a copy of it, but I remember it was a headbutt, and the doctor took me, the ref took me to the doctor, and the doctor was trying to stop it, and I was telling him, what are you trying to stop it for? It was a headbutt, plus I got the guy hurt. And I felt like I had hurt Arturo right before they stopped the fight for the cut. So I told him, well, don't stop it. I can see fine, and I'm fine. Plus, I told him, let my corner work on it during the break. I haven't even got to my corner yet. They'll stop the bleeding. And the doctor looked at me and said, okay. And then he told the ref, okay, keep going. So I continued to fight. I went to my corner. They, worked on it. It was Todd Anderson, who was my cousin for the night. And the next round, I thought to myself, I don't want this fight to be stopped due to a cut, and I'll end up with a technical draw or even a loss, in the scoring. So I brought it all up to Arturo, and I stopped him in that 5th round. As soon as I had the opportunity to stop him, I stopped him.
Mm-hmm. And did you enjoy your time in Mexico?
We were only there a couple of days, but it was nice. We went to the local mall there that we were staying near. I can't remember the hotel, but around the corner there was a mall, and people were nice, very very helpful. Trying to help you with everything. It was pretty cool. We got to see around town a little with the driver that was with us. Between the hotel and the place where the fights were, I think it was a restaurant called Villa Arroyo. Mm-hmm. and where the place where the weigh-ins were, it was on the other side of that. So we got to see the town around, driving from place to place. So it was cool. It was different.
And how do you spell the town where your family's from in Mexico? The city?
Oh, the town is a small little village. It's spelled UREQUIO.
Okay.
I guess you could pronounce it Urequio.
Yeah.
That's in Michoacan. That's in the state of Michoacan. Michoacan is spelled MICH.
Yep.
OACAN.
Okay.
Michoacan.
Thank you, buddy, because I would have never known that one. Then your next fight, you fought Thomas Villa.
Yes.
And that was for the USBA. Yeah. How'd that fight go? Quick.
Well, it was quick, but we weren't expecting it to be quick like that. I remember they had told me, we were fighting Villa, and they said, it's for the USBA title. It's supposed to be, your moment to show us, what you really have. I guess it was supposed to be another step up. He had fought some of the, good fighters in the featherweight division, and he had, gone the distance with some of the other fighters, and, given some, really good fights before. And I had seen Villa in the past, so I knew he was a tough fighter. But going into the fight, I never thought it would be that, short of a fight. I expected him to be a tough opponent for me, knowing what he's, the kind of fighter that he had fought, and, just his overall, toughness. But as soon as the fight started, I landed, quick 1-2 and 3-2 combination, and I hurt him, I dropped him. He got back up, and I dropped him again, and that was it. It was like under 2 minutes or something like that, but it was, just one of those nights where everything went, perfectly well for my side, and it was just, very quick, but it just, happened. I landed, I guess, the perfect punch to hurt him in the opening minute of the fight.
Mm-hmm. And how did it feel to win that first professional championship?
Well, that was really nice. I remember I had been telling my manager, and me and Robert had been talking about, I need a belt, we want to get a belt, give me something, to show, to get that step, forward, to get ranked in the top, 12 or whatever. We need one of those belts. I was telling him, give me something, NABF, NABO, USBA, something. And the fight with Carlos Rivera, that was for some WBC Latino title. But I never even received the belt. They never even shipped it to me. So I still felt like I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So when that fight was for the USBA title, the title was a vacant title there. So the belt was there, already, and they just gave it to me right there in the ring, and, that felt nice. I could actually, see myself with the title now, not just, on paper. Now I held the title on me, and that was real nice. It was very, very nice. The belt looks nice. They gave me a case for it, very, very professional. It's not like you just, go online and buy these or go to a catalog and order one. You actually have to earn it. So I felt good having one.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then you fought Pedro Navarrete. Mm-hmm. And you fought him in Mexico again. How'd that fight go?
Well, we took that fight because they told me, it's Mexico again, quick. It was a month after my fight with Villa. So I took the fight. But honestly, we were not probably in the best shape for that fight. I had been training, a couple of weeks before. I had been training for the Villa fight, so it was, I wasn't in bad shape. But after the Villa fight, I really didn't step up, the training like I should have for a fight. I was just kind of in the gym, taking light sparring sessions here and there, and just they offered me the fight, so I said, yeah, sure, I'll take it. I've been in the gym, so let's go. Well, it was a decision that I ended up fighting at. Pedro, he had, I guess, good good corner behind him because he kept avoiding my right hand. You know, he knew what I had. You know, they warned him about it. So he was, you know, smart of, you know, how to fight me. I fought, I think it was an 8-rounder decision or 6-round decision, something like that.
Yep, 8-round.
And 8-round decision, and I mean, I always felt like I won, but I probably should have and could have done better and maybe even stopped the guy if I had been in better shape. There were some moments where I remember landing some good punches and actually stunning him a little, but I just didn't have enough, you know, to finally stop him to just go all the way through. And it was you know, lack of conditioning that's the reason why I couldn't, you know, pull off a stoppage. But I still felt like I won and everything, you know. Everybody saw that I won. It just, you know, wasn't one of the best performances, and it was due to, you know, training, to conditioning.
Yeah, it's good to get a learning experience and win at the same time.
Yeah. Exactly. You know, you have to learn, you know, and that was another learning experience. You know, you always have to, you know, train hard and not expect an easy night like, you know, Villa. You know, that was very quick, so I guess we thought, you know, this might be another easy fight for me or something. And, you know, I said, yeah, I'll take the fight. You know, maybe if I had been training hard, like I did train for the Villa fight, maybe I would have stopped him, you know, in any of the rounds. But I wasn't in that shape to stop him, and I didn't stop him. It went 8-round decision. Now, obviously, from that day, you know, if they would have called me for another fight, you know, I would have said no, I wasn't ready, you know, but now we know.
Yeah. Then next you fought Cornelius Locke. How was that fight? That was an IBF.
That was a really good fight for me. They offered me a IBF eliminator fight, you know, to fight Cornelius Locke over in Texas. You know, IBF eliminator. I remember we were over here training, and you know, they told me if I would want to take that fight. We said, of course, you know, it's a title eliminator. Let's do it. So we took the fight. We were in great shape. I really got, you know, in really good shape for that fight. We were getting some really good sparring with southpaws because, you know, Locke is a southpaw, so we were training with southpaws. We were sparring very, very well, sparring 10, 12 rounds on regular days all the time. We didn't want to go in the fight and not be in shape. We don't want the Navarrete fight, you know, to come again. You know, we don't want that experience again. We wanted to make sure that we were in shape, and we did. We did all the work. I think I dropped him in the second and third round of the fight, and then finally again I stopped him in the, what was it, the 11th, I think it was. So I felt strong throughout the entire night. I felt strong. I didn't feel tired at any moment. I felt like I was winning, you know, almost every single round. We knew Locke. He's a skilled fighter. He had already upset some undefeated fighters in previous fights, and you know, they call him the spoiler or something like that because, you know, he ends up, you know, spoiling the show for some, you know, up-and-coming fighters. So we knew him. We had seen him before, so we didn't take him lightly. We trained hard. I put all the work in the gym, and during the fight, you know, I just made sure that we were winning every round. And I remember, you know, seeing his expression, reading his body language towards the end of the fight. I remember it was like the 9th, 10th round when I started noticing him kind of giving up a little. His expressions after the rounds, he would kind of, the way he would walk to the corner, the way he would get up from his stool to start the next round. I started noticing, and my brother, my dad noticed, you know, it's time. He's ready to go. So I finally picked it up a little more in the 11th round and stopped him.
Nice. Your memories are vivid. You remember everything.
I do remember a lot, yeah.
And then you fought Olivier Lonchi. I don't know what. I never even heard of the guy. What kind of?
Oliver, Oliver, yeah.
Oliver.
Well, yeah, it was Oliver. It was here in Anaheim. I remember they had told me that he might take me a couple of rounds to finally get him because he went some like 9 rounds or something with Juanma Lopez, and the guy was 18-1 or 19-1, something like that. And I remember going to other sparring, you know, partners and whatever, you know, trying to get someone that might, you know, mimic him, because I had never seen him except the clips that I saw on YouTube. I didn't see any tapes on Oliver or anything like that, except the fight with Lopez, and there was only a couple highlights on YouTube, so I didn't really know anything about the guy. So we're just getting the sparring partners to see, different, styles, just to, prepare for whatever, launch he had, because obviously we couldn't get anything, exactly like him, but just to get in shape. It was the main thing, to get in shape. And I was in my locker room, and we were, getting ready, to step in the ring, and here comes Lopez, and he comes to the locker room. Juanma Lopez comes to the locker room, and he's telling me and my dad, I've seen you, you're a good fighter, you're a good boxer, you should take care of this, no problem. And just watch out for his right hand. He has a pretty good right hand, especially to the body. He throws a good right hand to the midsection. Just be careful. And I had never met Lopez before, but he came as a friend, just to offer his advice, and it was great. We took some pictures with him. He was a world champion. It was great. He, for someone like Lopez to come in my locker room and offer me advice and supporting me like that, that was good. So I came in the fight, and I just started doing my thing. Started out boxing him, in the first round and two, and I dropped him, and I dropped him with the right hand, and I felt that it was gonna be an early night, because I started noticing that I was hurting him, not just landing punches, but actually hurting him. So when I did finally stepped it up a little, I stopped him.
Mm-hmm. And what did Juanma say to you after that fight? Was he impressed?
Yeah, he told me that was very nice. I saw him in the hotel, actually. Not right there at the fight, but across the street at the hotel. He told me it was a really good performance. He said that I definitely got the skills, and it was a good performance.
That's great. Those words,
Yeah. Well, from coming from a champion like himself, it was very, very good, very nice.
Yeah. And did you have any more conversations with him when you're at your fight with him in Salida?
Only before during the press conference, he mentioned my name, and he said that I'm one of the best fighters in the featherweight division. He said that he expects me to become world champion, and that he understands obviously the business and whatever, and that's why taking a little bit longer, but he expects me to be world champion this year. He said that he has good respect for my team, with my brother Robert, with myself, my dad. What else he said? He said just good things. He didn't say anything bad. They even asked him about a potential fight with me if he were to win the Salida fight, and he right away said that he was actually going to move up in weight, so that's not anything that he's going in his mind or anything like that, because he's moving in weight, so that's not a fight that he's even considering. So they just wanted to see what he would say. Some of the reporters asked him, but he didn't even say I'm a fight someone else, or he just said he's gonna move up in weight. Mm-hmm. But that's all. Before the fight, he as soon as he was walking towards his locker room, I was already in my locker room, and he saw me, and he said good luck to me, and I said good luck to him as well, and that was it. After the fight, I didn't get a chance to see him or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And then after that fight, you had probably your biggest test up to that point against Matt Remillard, right?
Yeah.
What do you remember about that fight?
Probably everything. We started training camp early. We told my manager, you know what, we need a very good sparring partner. We need someone. And he sent me Bowman. We call him Beeper. Carney Bowman is his name. He sent Carney Bowman to spar with me, and he has almost the exact style as Matt Remillard, and he did all my sparring sessions, and it got me in really good shape. I got to practice the things that I needed to work on for Remillard, and it was just perfect training camp. Everything was well. The weight came down perfectly. we started working that camp with Daryl Hudson for strength and conditioning. And it just, like I said, it was just one of those perfect camps. We knew Remillard was undefeated. I'm sure he was hungry to win. I'm sure he wanted to win. So we had to make sure that everything went well, that all the training camp went well, and we did. We did everything. I remember going to New Jersey. I was excited about going to Atlantic City. It was my first time over there. So I was excited to be, in Atlantic City and also to be fighting, Remillard for the NABF, NABO championships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how'd that feel to win those championships?
Well, we started the fight, and I had eaten some pizza earlier before my fight, and it was one of those boardwalk pizzas, and it really didn't feel so well. So it was like the third, fourth round when I told Robbie, my stomach's not feeling so well. I'm having like a little heartburn or something. So he's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm saying, well, nothing. I'm just letting you know. Because he started asking me to pick up the pace a little longer, a little faster. And so I told him, I need to take a little break, maybe, a round or two, just to let my stomach, work or something, because I can't, just go up and then pick up the pace, and I feel a little heartburn. So, okay, all right, whatever. But I was still, in control of the fight. I was still winning the rounds. I remember as soon as Remillard would try to, do something, bring a combination or something, I would bring it right back to him with more effective punches, and work like that. I think it was 8th, 9th round when I started noticing his body language, his expressions, the way he reacted to the punches. I started noticing that he was almost maybe giving up, feeling a little down, like almost losing the fight. And my brother also had been telling me that for a couple rounds before that. And I started picking up the pace a little more and started, connecting harder punches, and actually dropped him and finally stopped him. He didn't come out to the 11th round. I think he didn't come out. Yeah.
I guess you have a habit of breaking people's spirits during fights. You just keep saying the same thing.
Yeah, well, it's just that's how I really work. I try to break them down, and I guess I'm able to read them. That's probably a big advantage and a skill that I have. I'm able to read them little by little. Each round, I'm able to see how they come out the next round and how they did the previous round. And I'm comparing. I'm thinking while I'm fighting. I'm always thinking. I'm always planning what to do, what not to do during the rounds, and just reading their expression, reading their body language, reading the ways they are throwing their punches, the way they're standing in guard, the way they look at me, the way their eyes are. Just everything. So it's been working for me. It's worked well.
Yeah, I'll say. How did it feel winning those championships? Feel better than?
Oh, that was better than any other fight I had. Winning 2 titles, 2 belts the same night. And meaning titles. The NABF, NABO. North American titles. Ranked. Right away, and I think it was like the top 5 or something. I think that Remillard was ranked at the time. He was ranked like someone like 4 or 5 or 3, something like that, by the different belts. So. To beat someone who's ranked in that spot, and for the 2 titles, and it was good. I felt happy. I remember going to my locker room, and with the belts obviously there, I knew they were not going to be, for me, those exact ones. I was going to give those to Mac, and I had planned, to hand them to him in the locker room, go to his locker room and hand them to him. But I went to the restroom really quick, and he actually went and picked them up. My brother was there in the locker room, and he told me, he just came and picked them up. I said, all right, well, okay. I had, in mind to go in and drop them off for him, but he went and picked them up, and, that was it. He wished me, well, and that was it. It was just a good night for me.
You took his O. Maybe he was mad.
Well, he might have been a little sad, for losing, but as soon as the fight was over, he wished me well, and he told me, you're a great fighter, and I told him, you're a good fighter as well. don't feel that, you know, one loss is the end. You know, you're a good fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just a better fighter tonight. And he said, you know, thanks. You know, you're gonna be a world champion. He told me the world championship's next for you. So, well, thank you.
Yeah. That's good, man. And then you fought Rafael Guzman. Anything special about that fight?
I was just glad he came to fight and came ready to fight and brought, you know, the fight. They had replaced him a day or two before the fight. They had told me I was fighting some other guy, and you know, I didn't even know anything until I got to the press conference that they told me, you know what, you're fighting this guy. You know, you're not fighting the guy you thought. You're fighting this guy. That's who? Oh, that's what it is. The guy's not showing up. He broke his hand or something. So you're fighting another guy. Okay, well, I didn't even know that, but I guess. They told me the name Rafael Guzman. I said, okay, well, who is he? Like, oh, this guy from Mexico. You know, he was getting ready for a fight next week, so he's in shape. But he might want to run around. He might want to be holding all night long. So it's gonna be a boring fight. He's really, really tall, real long reach. It's gonna be a boring fight for you, but at least you're gonna fight. So okay. And everybody that came with him, you know, everybody was there. Everybody was ready. But the people that had seen him fight, I guess, or I don't know why they would, you know, think that he was gonna be running and holding. But almost everybody was telling me the same thing, that he's going to be running, that he's going to be holding, and that he's going to be a boring, ugly, you know, one of those, you know, ugly fights, stinky fights. And so when he actually showed up, you know, the first round, came forward, you know, trying to land some good punches, throwing a lot, I felt good. I said, okay, and this guy came to fight, it's a good fight. And I was able to, you know, just land my punches, land my right hands, and when I started landing that jab and that right hand, I figured, okay, if I'm doing this, it's not going to take long. He's going to go down. Mm-hmm. And I put him down with, you know, one of those right hands, I think 4th round or 5th round.
Mm-hmm. And then you fought Juan Carlos Martinez. You fought him in New York. You fought him at the Garden, right?
Yeah, it was the theater, the Garden, and the Madison Square Garden, the theater. Not the big arena, but you know, the smaller. Yeah.
And how'd that feel to know you were fighting in the Garden, even though it's not the big room, it's still the Garden? How'd that feel?
Yeah, well, it was a good show to be part of. You know, you know, right away fighting on Madison Square Garden, like you say. You know, in New York, first time in New York. I had never visited New York, so I was excited about that. Yeah. I was glad I was fighting there. And to be part of a show, you know, with Donaire headlining the show, it was just nice, you know, to be part of an event like that. Fighting Martinez, who I had seen in the previous, you know, years. You know, I've seen him before. I knew he's a tough guy. You know, I always knew he was tough, and he was gonna try to win, obviously. But I just, you know, I was in good shape. I was ready. And I was just, you know, able to hurt him early, and I think it was the 3rd round when I first dropped him, and then finally stopped him in the 4th. Yep. I remember during the 1st round, he landed, I think it was like a hook that actually kind of grazed my eye and started puffing up my eye. Some said, I never seen the fight again, but they told me that it might have been like an elbow, but I remember it was actually like the side of his glove that grazed me and actually started, you know, puffing out my eye. But whatever, you know, I have to fight. You know, I didn't pay attention to that. I stayed focused and stayed with the game plan, and I finally hurt him and, you know, stopped him in the 4th round. Mm-hmm.
And then you had your last fight. It was in Puerto Rico. How was that? How was going to Puerto Rico like? What was it like?
This is probably one of the best places that I have been to in regards to a boxing fight. I've been to other places, you know, around the country, and you know, like new experiences, like New York, like Atlantic City. I was excited to be part of and be there and be fighting in these, you know, great venues. But I kind of took a little vacation after the fight, so that's probably why I got excited about Puerto Rico. I stayed there a couple of nights after, and you know, got to see the island, got to hang out, and kind of enjoy the the area, enjoy the stay. When I went to New York, I really didn't stay much. I came back right after the fight, and same thing with Atlantic City. And before the fight, I don't really go out anywhere because you're there for a fight, you're there training, you're there for a press conference, weigh in on the fight, and then you go home. This time in Puerto Rico, I was able to stay a couple of days after, kind of enjoy the stay, and it was nice. The fight went well. People were happy, and pleased with my performance. They kept congratulating me. They welcomed me very well to the island, to be part of them there, fighting, and it was just good things, good people.
Yeah. How's it feel to walk to the ring in front of all those people? That was a humongous crowd. How's it feel? You nervous walking?
The time that's the time when you get a little nervous walking into the ring. Before that, if you see me in the locker room, I'm really relaxed, really calm, real chill, just sitting down, waiting for the moment that they tell me, it's time. I start warming up, about 30, 45 minutes before the fight. You start, getting ready or whatever. But I'm still very relaxed. I'm not jumping up and down, trying to hype myself up with music or with chants or cheers, anything like that. I don't like any of that stuff. I'm real calm. Everybody's just sitting down, just waiting for them to tell us it's time. But as soon as you're walking into the ring, the music goes out, the fans, start cheering, the clapping, and that's when you start getting nervous during that ring walk. Mm-hmm. It was very nice for the people to receive me, very well and applauding and cheering for me, like if they knew me, personally, or like if I had fought there before, or like if I was, someone that they were looking forward to, and just like someone they knew. I was the first time there in Puerto Rico, but they received me, they welcomed me very well, so that was real nice of them to be like that.
Mm-hmm. And what's a young guy like you do in Puerto Rico with all those ladies?
I was there with my wife.
Oh, I didn't even know you were married. I didn't know.
Yeah, well, I was there with my wife. We stayed a few days later. We went to the rainforest, the national rainforest. It's called El Yunque. So we went there. We went to the waterfalls that they have. We took the little hike, the little trail to the waterfall. We took some pictures. Then I drove across the island from San Juan all the way down to Ponce, Puerto Rico, which is on the other end of the island, and just to see what the island is, like. And went to the town of San Juan. Went to the old fort, the old like a castle there that they have, two of them.
She doesn't know if you want me to remove.
Hold on one sec. Yeah, just tell her to go up in the room with him, and I'll be right up. I'm gonna be off in like 2 minutes anyway.
Alright.
Thank you. I'm sorry, man. It's later here. So what about the fight itself? Was it a tough fight?
We were expecting it to be, but I guess, I was able to control the fight, at my distance, at my pace, all night long. I was expecting Concepcion to come forward more and be more aggressive, especially in the earlier rounds. But he didn't. He actually tried to stay on the outside, try to box. I don't know if his game plan was to maybe go the distance and really not, look for an early night, how he had fought some of his earlier fights. In his earlier fights that I've seen him, he's always the aggressor, coming forward, throwing those overhand rights and left hooks and trying to stop you. But with me, he did. I don't know, maybe he felt respect for me, or maybe he felt, that he wanted to change his fight style, maybe to switch it up on me, maybe take me off, get me off guard or something. But I was able to, control the fight at my pace and my distance, and just kind of, chop him down again like I always, normally do. And I think it was the 6th round when I noticed, and my brother noticed in the corner that, he kind of was giving up on himself. He really didn't want to be there anymore. I noticed it in one 6th round when he was against the ropes for a couple of seconds, and he wasn't hurt from any, particular punch, but just his body, his expression. He might have even been able to take a knee if I had, put a good combination on. He might have taken a knee, but he wasn't hurt, from a single punch. He was just maybe, giving up. And during the break, my brother and my dad told me, hey, can you see that he's not all there no more? He wants to go. He's ready to go. And I told him, yep, I saw it. I could tell. He's like, well, then what are you waiting for? Put him out. And in that 7th round, I was able to connect a good right hand, drop them and stop them a few seconds after.
Yep. And where do you feel you're at now in the boxing world? How do you feel where you're at?
I think I deserve to be fighting for a world title next. I think I've proven that I'm a good contender, that I'm, worthy of challenging for a world title. I've defeated everybody that they put in front of me. I've, handled them, fairly well. I've handled my fights, fairly well. I'm capable of fighting, with any of these guys.